The 1985 articulation of deep ecology was extremely influential, and it's often the iteration of deep ecology that most people associate with the term. But I think it's noteworthy that the founding document, the sort of original articulation of deep ecology, was Arne Naess's 1973 paper, and that is appealed to repeatedly in the subsequent literature, including the Duvall and Sessions book. They recognize Naess as really the inventor, the founder of deep ecology. And so it's interesting that when Duvall and Sessions write out their list of basic principles, there are some things about those principles that are a bit different. Now, I want to highlight only two differences. They're not the only two potentially, but there are two that are particularly important for our purposes, and I think they really do stand out if you take a moment to compare these two articulations. They both have to do with the role of humans and the social in the conception of deep ecology and what it stands for. So one of these differences can be pointed out if we look at the fourth commitment in the 1973 piece. This commitment to an anti-class posture is not expressed at all in the 1985 articulation, maybe because the authors felt that it was somehow beside the point, or that it was a different issue. It's a social and political issue rather than an environmental issue. And that I'm just guessing here. I don't know exactly why they didn't include something like this in the 1985 book, but maybe they felt that their mission was really about curbing the problematic human effects and influence on the environment, and that didn't include these issues of social hierarchy and oppression and domination that were articulated in the 1973 piece. So they may have felt it just was not relevant to what they were trying to do. This is an interesting point because, as we'll see in some of the criticisms of deep ecology, they think that a lot of the criticisms have pointed out to how problematic it is, or criticizable it is, that the 1985 version of deep ecology, the later versions of deep ecology, seem to basically completely shrug about various kinds of social inequality and various kinds of social problems that might be associated with environmentalism. The second difference I'd like to highlight is that the later formulation explicitly says that the flourishing of non-human life requires a decrease in the human population, and it says that humans could continue to flourish with such a decreased population, and that present human interference with the non-human world is excessive and the situation is worsening. So these may stand out to you as actually similar to the Earth First principle that characterized human beings as an enemy of nature, or as currently operating as a major threat to the natural world. And if you compare that with the 1973 formulation of deep ecology, I think you don't find anything that's comparably antagonistic towards human beings. So the 1973 articulation, while it's clearly trying to articulate some kind of biocentric position, it's not anti-human. It's not. It's much, or it's at least much less anti-human or critical of humans, seemingly humans as such, than the 1985 articulation. And this is important also because some of the critics of deep ecology will point to the way that some of the things that deep ecologists say actually suggest that they really think of humans as a bad thing, and that they wouldn't be opposed to eliminating humans if that would, somehow help environmental issues as they see them. And that's a very troubling position for a lot of these critics. So we saw Sober make some similar type arguments, and we'll see the critics of deep ecology make similar type arguments. So I just wanted to highlight these parts, these at least apparently anti-humanistic or anti-human sentiments in the 1985 principles. While we're here, I'll actually just point out one more notable difference, so a third notable difference between these two, and that's that the 1985 principles seem to add in some specificity about when humans have a right to reduce richness or diversity of the natural world. So this might be partly answering the challenge that the biospherical egalitarianism of 1973 didn't really clarify when humans have a right to interfere with the rest of nature. The 1985 articulation is saying they can do it when it's a matter of satisfying vital needs. So then, of course, we have to go on to say exactly what we should understand those vital needs to be. What makes a need vital?